We're talking about developments in Europe where there is an international movement towards recognition of Palestine as a state. Joining us now is Boaz Bismuth. He is a former Israeli ambassador to Mauritania, and he's the foreign affairs editor for the newspaper Israel-Hayom. Ambassador, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Let me ask you first, what is your response to this development in London, the House of Commons voting to recognize Palestine as a state, the same happening in Sweden as well?
Well, I would say that it is, how would I say, a spectacular display of ignorance, either what we have seen in the House of Commons in England and a few days before in the Parliament in Sweden. I can maybe understand the desire to see people in Europe, not only in Europe, in the world today, seeing the birth or the declaration of a Palestinian state, but I do not think that this is the way in which, you will really succeed in, how would I say, in reaching or achieving this wish, because it has been proven in the Middle East that any unilateral decision, act, or any, for instance, what we have just seen now in England, will not promote a Palestinian state. On the contrary, it will only bring us backwards.
Well, you might say it's ignorant on the part of these members of parliament who took this vote, but they are merely reflecting what is very fast-changing public opinion in Europe about Israel and its activities.
Of course, I am someone who travels a lot, and I do see what is happening right now in the world. I was, before being an ambassador in Mauritania, I used to be a correspondent in Europe for many, many years, and I do see the demography in the world that is changing, and when you speak about demography changing, you of course see it changing, not always, on the side of Israel. The only thing is also, right now, being a pro-Palestinian has became also a trend. But let us be, right now, let us be honest, and let us be honest with the facts by themselves. If Palestinians will have a state, and by the way, let me only remind the audience that since 2009, Israeli Prime Minister from a right-wing party, the Likud party, has declared in his speech 2 states for 2 nations. So I would say that in Israel, something that in the 70s was unaccepted by left-wing governments, today in 2014, or since 2009, accepted by a right-wing government. Yet, when you look at the other side of the border, when you see the Palestinians, they do not still agree the idea of a Jewish state. So on one hand, you have Israel who accepts the idea of Palestine beside it, yet Palestine maybe accept the idea of having Israel, but not as a Jewish state, and it means what it means. So I would say that if the world was a little bit more honest right now, the pressure should be, you know what, put pressure on Israel, but put also pressure on Palestinians, and maybe that way we shall reach what the world wants right now, and also in Israel, 2 states for 2 nations.
Right. Point is, Israel is losing some of its long-time supporters. If you look at this vote in the British House of Commons, Richard Ottaway, who's a conservative British member of Parliament, who says that he is stuck with Israel through thick and thin, as he puts it, over the years. He did not oppose this motion to recognize Palestine in the House of Commons. I want to read to you what he said. He said, and I'm quoting here, "The annexation of the 950 acres of the West Bank just a few months ago has outraged me more than anything else in my political life. I have to say to the government of Israel, if it is losing people like me..." Sorry, let me finish. "If it is losing people like me, it is going to be losing a lot of people."
Yeah, first of all, I'm very sorry to hear that he was outraged. Let us all calm down and understand a little bit what is happening right now. Let us be honest again with ourselves and see if the problem between us and my neighbors, the Palestinians, with whom for me is the main interest as an Israeli to reach a solution, to reach peace with them, because I am the first one concerned. So I would say that if you want to continue thinking that the problem is a territorial problem, then we shall continue putting pressure and not agreeing and not understanding each other. You know, throughout the last decades, we have seen how many chances you had with former previous governments of Israel to reach a solution. I remember when I was in Paris as a journalist, I remember Shimon Peres, president of Israel until a few weeks ago, who no one can doubt his real desire for peace. And he was there talking to us about 97% already giving back to Palestinians with 3% compensation. To that, Palestinians said no. Barak, just before the Second Intifada, great proposition. To that, Palestinians said no. Olmert with Abu Mazen, you remember 2007, to that they said no. This is not a territorial problem. If it would have been such a problem, then we would have solved it. So when this member of parliament speaks about the annexation of Israel as the reason of the problem for the conflict right now, or the problem of what we see, and that is sick and tired, I can understand him. I mean, I would be today from Finland, or I would be right now from Sri Lanka, or I would be a citizen from New Zealand or Australia. I would also say, what's wrong with those people in the Middle East? I mean, can they solve their problems once and for all? But unfortunately, you've got in this part of the world one country, that is Israel, that has made mistakes. Of course, we have made mistakes throughout history. Every nation has made mistakes. But the last, 20 years, you did see how much we have tried to reach a solution. By the way, let me tell you another thing. It will surprise you. If one day, and let us hope they will have their state one day, when they will have the Palestinian state, so, as awkward as it can sound, it won't be thanks to the Arab world, it won't be thanks to Europe, it won't be thanks to the international community or the UN, it will be thanks to Israel. So it's very maybe awkward to hear, it will maybe surprise you, but we are the ones, yes, we are the ones that maybe gave them the best, the best hope, the best chance to have a state. So they should grab the chance they had. And you know, when Israel was built or recognized or announced or given in 1947 and then in 1948, it wasn't the Israel that you see today. And we have accepted because we put our shoulders up and we started to work hard for our state. Palestinians should copy and do the same. And then 2 states for 2 nations. Again, I say, as an Israeli ambassador, ex-ambassador, of course, this is the desire of the Israeli people, not only the Palestinians.
Right. Ambassador, I hear what you're saying. That's the Israeli argument. The point is that the Europeans are not buying that anymore. Sweden, as we've just mentioned, has passed a resolution recognizing a Palestinian state. There are also moves afoot in Spain and in Ireland as well. It looks like there could be in other countries as well. There's something like 135 nations across the world that recognize Palestine as a state of the 190 or so UN members. Doesn't Israel risk being isolated here?
First of all, Israel, of course, Israel, not only that it finds itself, a lot in international, arena, isolated, that is obvious, because the majority countries, of course, as I said before, the streets are pro-Israeli. So, of course, let's take European democracies, for example. European democracies, they have to consider the changing demography. They need votes, of course. When they see the street changing, of course, they would like to satisfy their voters. Then you've got this part, the Arab world, that is obvious. Almost 50 Muslim countries, that is obvious too. South America, we have seen last year or 2 years ago, Brazil, Argentina, and other South American countries also going for the Palestinian cause. Africa, the same. I was an ambassador for 4 years. I do see also African streets. So that is obvious, I know. Yet at the same time, does this mean, because the world, how would I say, because public opinion has changed, that this means that Israel has to commit suicide right now? We have just now had a horrible summer. Horrible summer, we have seen in the world, or the world has shown, especially pictures from Gaza. And of course, when you see civilians dead, that is something that I am also sad concerning, I'm also very sad. But you had a lot of terrorists over there. And what the story this summer was what? The story this summer was here in this part of the Middle East, in Israel, you had missiles protecting civilians. On the other side, you had civilians protecting missiles. And those missiles were supposed to hurt Israelis still in 2014. That is not the way to solve this problem. That is not by not recognizing a Jewish state, by thinking like Hamas in Gaza, thinking that they deserve to have all of Palestine, which is all of Israel, by thinking that we should not be here. Abu Mazen, instead of, on the contrary, taking advantage of what happened in Gaza, going to the UN and giving in front of the Assembly General, a speech that was very, how would I say, vicious, violent, with a lot of lies again. That is not the way to solve the problem. And again, I say it again and again and again. As an Israeli who served for 4 years in an Arab country, as was proud and honored to serve in an Arab country, we, in this part of the world, in this tiny Israel, because what is Israel? When you look at the map, look at the geography, this is so tiny. When you speak about the last colonialist country, this is ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
Okay, so we're going to have to leave it there. Ambassador Boaz Bismuth, thank you very much for joining us, sir.